Good morning. It is Wednesday, May the 27th. I am Rachel Witt, our programming coordinator at Westminster Village in West Lafayette, Indiana. And it is time for Brain Boot Camp. This week's theme is National Cellophane Tape Day. That's right, the stuff. So we're all about tape and sticky stuff today. Let's get started. All right, here we go. Scotch tape. So Scotch tape was invented in 1930 by Richard Gurley Drew while he was working for 3M. He was quite an inventor. He also invented masking tape 5 years before that in 1925. So both of those tapes are referred to as pressure-sensitive tapes, which is really just a fancy way of saying that things stick together when they touch. So other things are pressure sensitive. For our warm-up activity today, I would like for you to think of like a gas pedal on a car or a button on an elevator. In 60 seconds, what are things that respond to pressure? Ready, set, go. Time is up. So, what kind of things did you come up with? There could have been any kind of mechanical item, a tool or a button or a lever or lever, I don't know, whichever your preference is. There are also kind of some softer, more subjective ones like a person. My children might say I apply pressure to them to get them to do their chores. Maybe I do. Just a little bit. That trash isn't going to take itself out, let me tell you. Anyway, so pressure, what I would like you to do now, though, since I can't see your list, I'm going to ask you to do a follow-up activity. Take a look at your list, and on it, identify the thing that requires the least amount of pressure and the thing that requires the most amount of pressure to do its intended purpose. So, well, for example, if I were going to pressure all of my children to do their chores, my youngest would be that one that would take the most pressure from mom to get it done. Do you have that? Do you have your highs and your lows on there? All right, we'll move on to the next activity. So Mr. Drew, he was presented patent number 1760820. or 1,760,820 for Scotch tape. And that is our number of the day. So I have given you 3 math calculation problems attached to this. Go ahead and do those. You have a minute. Rise up. How'd you do? These were kind of, I felt like a little bit of soft instruction. They didn't necessarily, just the process of figuring out what the question was possibly part of the cognitive exercise here. In the first one, it should have been, and the answers are here, so you can see them also. But if you reorder them, it should come out as 0, 0, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. The number minus 3,949 is 1,756,871. And finally, if you total those numbers together, just individual digits and total them, the answer is 26. Now, I didn't have anybody check my math here, so I hope the answer is 26. I think the answer is 26. So we're going to kind of move on into an art direction, for lack of a better phrase. I've got some pictures here, 1, 2, 3, 4, of art sculptures that have been made entirely out of packing tape. I don't know who has time for this either, but I need to tell you that I was shocked to find out they're entirely packing tape. There's no internal armature, there's nothing else there. They're just somebody with a bunch of packing tape, and I think a lot of time on their hands. But aren't they fantastic? I'm really, I think they're cool. I love the giraffe and how he's eating litter out of the tree. That probably is my favorite one. Though the bicycle, there's some, that one's kind of amazing, technically speaking. But this leads me to the next activity. You know I have a point. Eventually I'll get to it. We're going to do the 10 things activity. So I would like for you in 1 minute to come up with 10 things to do with tape, any kind of tape, other than taping one piece of paper to another. Ready, set, go. So, 10 things. I have a feeling this one of the easier ones. I use tape for all kinds of crazy things, but they could have been, and I would ask you to sort your list into different categories. Was it in your house that they would be used? Was it something you do in your garage, in your garden, in your office? Is it attached to a certain event? So, for example, wrapping a gift. Is it attached to something that is arts and crafts specific, say decorative tape in a scrapbook? Is it practical or construction type of thing, so electrical tape and taping wires together, that type of thing? All of this is going to help you here in a minute with another question, so I'm trying to help here. I'm trying to give you some helpful hints. Hopefully you came up with a good list of 10 things. I suspect it might have been more than 10 things if I'm guessing correctly. But next thing we're going to do is immediately hop back into math. I know, I'm trying to get you to jump different sides of your brain here. So what I've given you now is a triangle puzzle, and it's not, it's addition and subtraction, so it's not terribly complicated. But it is just a really different way to look at numbers, basic numbers. So it's here on the screen. And what you're going to do is complete the blanks. The two circles total the square in the middle, or I guess the instructions call it a rectangle. I don't know, it looks like a square to me. But you want a total. So for example, in the one on the top left, 6 plus 9, of course, they equal 15. You write 15 in the blank, and you complete all the other sections of the puzzle. This is a 1-minute activity. How'd you do? So if looking at this puzzle, and I put the answers up here on the screen, but it should be in the one on the top left, it should be 15 and 13. Top right should be 7, 17, and 15. The lower left, 4, 11, 7. And the lower right, 8, 8, 3. All right, so moving on, we're going to move on now to something kind of exciting, patents. So in June of 2018, the 10 millionth U.S. patent was issued. It was issued to Joseph Marin, and it was issued, oh, I don't understand it at all. Some bit of science to do with lasers is what it was issued to. But the very first patent, and I had no idea, but the very first patent was signed by President George Washington, and it was awarded to Samuel Hopkins in 1790 for improvements in the making of potash and pearl ash. So now potash is a salt that's mined, but back when this invention happened, it was used by soaking ash from a vegetable matter, ashes. It was soaked in water and it was used to make soap, but it was used in soap production. Pearl ash was then taking that ash and firing it again in a kiln and purifying it, and that was used as a leavening agent in breads before baking powder was created. So I have to imagine that was an interesting flavor, don't you think? Anyway, first patent to the 10th million patent. And I've got 4 questions connected to that patent history. Here you go. These are, let's say, I think it's another maybe 45 seconds. I don't think this is a full minute one. All right, here you go. I'm keeping things hopping at a pretty brisk pace. I'm going to have to put a longer activity in here so you can catch your breath. Here is our answer key here. Really, there's not much of an answer key. 228 years elapsed in that period of time. Who are 2 people you know named Joseph? Wish I could hear your answers to this. We'd be laughing about this in Brain Boot Camp right now. Something you might consume 10 million-ish of throughout your lifetime. So this is an interesting question because it occurred to me things like granules of salts or granules of sugar or flakes of cereal, maybe if you're a big cereal eater. I probably will consume 10 million kernels of popcorn. I love popcorn. Probably in my lifetime, I'll consume 10 million. Other things, though, that you might do, probably some connection to water, some amount of water. Let's see. I wonder what you came up with. We'll move on to the last question. The last item you've eaten that contains some kind of leavening. So, of course, leavening would be baking soda, baking powder, could be yeast, could be natural yeast, like in a sourdough. What's the very last item that you personally have eaten that contains some variety of leavening? Mine was a hamburger bun that I had yesterday with my hamburger. It was delicious. Memorial Day, hamburgers, and I gotta do it. All right, so here we are. One more 60-second activity, 1 minute. I would like for you to think of as many types of tape that you can think of, as many types of tape that you can think of in 60 seconds. And if you think back to a couple of exercises, we kind of just gave a lot of helpful hints in that way. So see what you can come up with. 60 seconds, types of tape. And time's up. Types of tape is an interesting question. First of all, it starts the debate if it is duct tape, D-U-C-T tape, or duck tape, D-U-C-K tape. So actually, duct tape is duck tape. Duck is the brand. So what I guess I would say is duct tape can be duct tape, but duct tape doesn't have to be duct tape. I know, that's a lot. That's a lot of hard consonants. But I've got this list here of some different varieties of tape, and there were some on here that I did not think of when I was thinking of tapes. So security tape, like that stuff they stretch across a work site or something. I don't think of that as tape because it's not sticky, but it is technically still tape. Also, road marking tape. When they put those lines on, sometimes they actually just apply stickers. They're big, long, sticky pieces of tape, and they heat seal them to the ground, to the pavement. Lots of other tapes on here. Artist tape, painter's tape, double-face tape, paper tape, medical tape. If you think about it, our world is full of tape, and that's a great after activity. If you want to do a bit of homework, just consider in your home where you have tape. That sounds silly, but I'd be willing to bet if you go on a little bit of a tape scavenger hunt in your house, between your medical cabinet and your hardware type of things and your desk type, I bet you find you've got a lot of rolls of tape in your house right now. It'd be an interesting number to come up with. All right, so we will move on from types of tape to stickiness. So stickiness in scientific terms is called adhesion. And adhesion is measured in terms of adhesive force. So in other words, it's measured in the amount of energy it takes to pull the sticky things apart, which is measured in newtons. The higher the adhesive force, the higher will be the number of newtons required to peel one object off of another. So here's what I have to say about newtons. Fig Newtons are delicious. So this is a visuospatial activity. I am going to put a short video clip up here of a drawing of a fig Newton. It's fairly simple in terms of the number of lines and shapes, but I'm just going to put it up here. I'm going to have you watch it, and then on your piece of paper, just try and draw a fig Newton, and then we'll play it again and you can see how you did. All right, so this one is super, super fast. And happy drawing. Remember, it's not an art class. This is just about processing space on your paper. Here you go. All right, how did it go? Here it is again. I'll run the video again over here so you can take a look at it. How close are you in your drawing? Did you forget any little details, little seeds or little kind of shape to mark the side of the fig Newton? Did you add anything that I didn't? Did you happen to put your fig Newton on a plate or a napkin? Or did you draw any crumbs? Or is there other debris? Did you get partway through and decide you were doing it wrong and scribble it out and start over again? That's also a possibility. Remember, it's not about artistic ability. It's about just trying to translate what you see into something down on the paper, making your brain work out. That's it. So crumple that up and throw it in the paper or in the trash if you're unhappy. All right, so moving on to the next activity. We are going to take a look at sticky things. So we can't be all about the fig Newtons here, right? So I am going to do a little new activity called a speed round. I'm going to put 2 words up here on the screen, and you are very quickly going to make your first guess at which one is the stickier of the 2. We're going to do 5 sets of those, and we'll go through and get you the answer. Okay. So first things first, Elmer's glue versus gecko feet. Which one's stickier? Pair number 2, super glue versus duct tape. Okay, pair number 3, hot glue versus pine sap. Pair number 4, Scotch tape versus tar. And pair number 5, clay mud. You know, that really sticky, gluey, sucks your shoe off kind of mud versus honey. All right, that's it. Time is up. Here are your answers. Can you believe you can search on the internet and find out what things are stickiest? I had no idea. So anyway, here you go. According to the internet, the things in red here are the stickiest: the gecko feet, super glue, pine sap, tar, and honey. Also, if you were interested in what was stickier, maple syrup or honey, there's no definitive answer. Apparently this is hotly contested by scientists which one is stickier. I think they're leaning towards honey right now. All I know is if honey gets on something, well, it's not a lot of fun to clean out. And on that note, it brings us to the end of Brain Boot Camp cellophane tape, or Scotch tape. Many things we just call by their brand name, right? Like a Band-Aid. So Scotch tape day. I will see you on Friday for the Friday art program. That is at 10 a.m. on Channel 91, and it is, our theme this week is Just Add Water. And then next Wednesday I'll be back for rerun day for Brain Boot Camp. That's right, we will have a brain boot camp based on reruns, doing things over, repeats. That's the right way to put that. And then on Friday of next week, of course, we'll also have Friday in the Studio, our weekly art program. So that's it for me. Thanks for spending Brain Boot Camp with me today. Have a wonderful day.